All right, let's get this done. I have other stuff to talk about tomorrow, but this stuff happens, and you got to feed the content gods. So Nick Chubb is probably done for the year, if not for his career. I didn't see the injury. I kind of don't want to see it. I guess it was gruesome. My co-managers were telling me it was bad. So anyway, he's out, and the title of this is going to be a little bit clickbait because like why you shouldn't be picking up Jerome Ford because you should have already rostered him. That's the long and short of it. So if you're in a fab league, I mean, you're probably dumping the boat to try and get this guy. If you're in a claim waiver claim league, like hopefully you have number one. Um, my thoughts a little bit on all of this with Jerome Ford. He's a fifth round pick out of Cincinnati. Good size, good speed, good measurables. The Browns liked him enough that they didn't bring in any competition for Nick Chubb, which was the good indicator that you should probably be handcuffing him. And there's only a few guys out there that have a handcuff that we know what's going on. So in the case of like Barkley, why we don't handcuff a guy like Barkley is because we don't know how the backfield is going to shake out. So it's just easiest to grab a guy like Eric Gray and kind of hope that you get in cheap than it is for you to have to pay for Breida and then find out that like, he's not your guy. Right. So Jerome Ford, I kind of don't, well, he's no Nick Chubb. Let's just put it like that. He's no Nick Chubb. I don't dislike him. I don't like him, but he hasn't been given anything. I didn't particularly like the highlights that I saw tonight. I don't particularly think that Jerome Ford is super special, but if he gets that bell cow work, then we may not be that worried about it. Like Kendre Williams, that I really shocked about, got 95% of snaps. Like sometimes it's just the opportunity is more important than the efficiency. And his big 60 something yard run that he had tonight for the Browns, the 69-yard run, kind of those things are not uh they're not going to happen all the time. They're tough to happen. So anyway, the response to that, if you can't get Jerome Ford, is to go out and get Pierre Strong. He was a fourth round pick by the Patriots that they traded to the Browns this year, which is kind of not a good sign. But he has better athletic measurables than Jerome Ford does. He actually vultured the touchdown on that long run that Ford had. And again, this is a response that like if you're in deeper leagues, it allows you to do two things. First of all, it allows you to hedge your bet that because we don't know exactly how the backfield is going to shake out and if they're going to use him at all. And you can kind of see that he did have those two carries on the goal line. So he is the guy that they are comfortable bringing in the goal line. And he did have one target. So like, I am not saying that Jerome Ford is bad and he's going to lose the bell cow role, but from a fantasy perspective, if I can pick up a Pierre Strong and stash him on the bottom of my bench and see how it shakes out, to see how the snap share shakes out, to see how if he's given an opportunity on the field, does he take it? That's free, as opposed to 100% of my fab that's going to take for me to go out and get a Jerome Ford off the waiver wire. Like I almost would rather take the $0 chance that Pierre Ford or Pierre Strong can win me my league than to dump $100 and find out that Jerome Ford is a flex level replacement player. That's kind of how fantasy works out sometimes, but you shouldn't have this problem if you're a Chubb owner because you should already have had Jerome Ford on your roster. So the other guy to talk about is Jamal Williams went down for the Saints with a hamstring, and those things can linger, as we probably all know. And then Tony Jones came in, took 11 carries. There's Taysom Hill, doing Taysom Hill things. Tony Jones came in, did the 12 carries. Tony Jones been bouncing around for a while. He's not going to be anything special. The Saints have third round draft capital in Kendre Miller, a rookie out of TCU. Again, I think he's kind of a middle of the road prospect. I don't think he's necessarily anything special, but what he does project towards is being the Thunder to the Thunder and Lightning with Kamara down the line. So like he's been out with a hamstring of his own. Would not be surprised if he's in next week. And he's going to potentially eat into Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara's never really been a full-time player. He works best by being an efficient player and not necessarily a volume player. So Kendre Miller has a chance to be like that low end RB2 to that we've seen work with Kamara before in the past. So like that's about all that's going on. Other little tidbits from these games, like the Saints are not going to be a particularly good offense. Like Rashid Shaheed, 4 catches on 63 for 63 yards on 4 targets. That's really hard to keep that efficiency up, unless he starts like eating into, say, Michael Thomas. And so if Olave and Thomas are the 2 full-time wide receivers, he's going to have to eat into one of these 2 guys. And I don't think it's going to be Olave. It's more likely to be Michael Thomas. But like he's a guy to stash if you got space. It's good to see Foster Moreau out there. The other thing, like Carolina's just probably not going to be good this year. You're looking at the inability to push the ball down the field. No Terrence Marshall targets. 8 Jonathan Mingo targets, so we're definitely probably stashing him, but I just don't see the offense being good. Chuba Hubbard getting in there. Again, pick up your handcuffs. I mean, you can see we can see a clear role for Hubbard in the offense already, and so if Sanders goes down, like this is going to cost you 100 fab to go get him, and that's on a bad offense. Same thing with the Browns. Like going back to when we take a look at the Browns, like you're probably I would be probably selling all Browns because they're just not going to be good and they're not going to be consistent. Deshaun Watson, couldn't do it. Cooper 7 catches, 90 yards, 10 targets. Njoku is barely a tight end 1, maybe. Elijah Moore doesn't look like he's going to be a thing. But again, like when I'll talk about it more tomorrow when I do the pre-waiver wire video, but the idea is that wide receiver 2s, running back 2s aren't going to win you anything. They're just not going to lose you anything. And we're kind of trying to find ways not to have those guys. And like George Pickens taking advantage of the situation. The tea leaves say play a guy like George Pickens, and he pays off. And then Allen Robinson, obviously not a thing. Jaylen Warren is a thing. So anyway, do something tomorrow. Keep this short. Yeah.